Am I the asshole for telling my mom she's making me fat? A couple of years ago, I, 34 female, lost my job due to the company I worked for going into financial trouble. My husband at the time didn't work, which caused us to struggle for money and eventually led to him abandoning me and our 3 children, 9 female, 7 female and 5 male. Because of this, my parents, 65 male and 64 female, offered to let us move back in with them for a while. Everything was fine, but after a few weeks I noticed that the food being given to us was both unhealthy and given in very large quantities. I didn't want to offend my mom, so instead of bringing it up with her, I offered to do some of the cooking instead. However, she insisted it was all done by her because she enjoys it. Reluctantly, I obliged and just thought, I'll just leave most of it. The problem with this is that she started offering anything I didn't eat to the children, who always ate all of it since they didn't realize how bad it was for them. I also didn't want to talk about this with the children because creating a fear about gaining weight always does more harm than good. This carried on for about a year before I finally brought it up with her. I've gained almost 50 pounds and am now almost obese, and 2 of the children are clinically obese now as well, with the youngest still being firmly overweight. All of them get a reasonable amount of exercise, but it makes little difference when they're eating almost 3,000 calories a day. A few weeks ago I watched their school sports day and it was worrying how little they could run. The 2 girls couldn't even run 100 mile and had to walk the final part. I told my mom she had to stop giving us so much unhealthy food, but she snapped at me and said I should be grateful that she's even letting us stay there. I hate conflict, so I ended up backing down, but I feel really bad about the effect it's having on my kids. Recently, the oldest one has been trying to avoid sport at all costs since she doesn't enjoy it with the extra weight. Am I the asshole for bringing it up with my mom? Update. I brought it up again more harshly with my mom, but she refused to budge, so I took the kids to a pediatrician. It went how you might expect. They need to lose weight and have to cut down on how much they're eating. I explained the situation and he wrote a note for my mom explaining the importance of the kids losing weight. After reading some of the comments, I suggested I be in control of serving the food so she could still cook, but I had control of portions. My mother wasn't so keen on this, so we met in the middle and allowed the children to get their own servings. Although they still took more than was probably healthy, it was less than before, so progress was made. My mom still did my portion and it was still very large, but I didn't mention it and just ate it because I didn't want to annoy her just when I was making progress. After dinner I managed to convince my 2 youngest children to come on a walk with me and my dad. The walk wasn't long, probably only about a mile, but it was a step in the right direction. However, when I got home my mom told me she had given my oldest daughter, who stayed behind, seconds because she looked happy. I told her not to do that again, but she was pretty non-committal, so I'm not sure I trust her. And just to clear up a few misconceptions, I have a job, but it is basically minimum wage. My mom is also obese or very nearly obese, so it isn't just us it's affecting. You are the asshole. How can you neglect your kid to the point they are obese and blame it on your mom? It was your responsibility to set boundaries. This is your fault, not your mom. You are the asshole. You're a grown woman. Take some responsibility for the things you put in your and your kids' mouths. Your mom because she's causing the issue. You because you won't stand up for your kids' health. You are the asshole. All I see is a lot of excuses of why you and your kids have gained weight. Perhaps, grandma is making loads of great food. Moderation. Kids can be taught moderation. You should be speaking to your kid's pediatrician. Not the asshole. It can be incredibly hard to stand up to a parent, especially when they have economic power over you and when they've used anger to intimidate you and shut down your opinions for your entire life. But you have to stand up to her, because not doing that is setting you and your children up for premature death and a lifetime of health complications. And not just about the food, about everything, because a 9-year-old that can't run 100 mile is more than just overweight. They're not getting a reasonable amount of exercise. Am I the asshole for not contributing to my boyfriend's home renovations? My boyfriend and I, both in our 30s, have been together for almost 2 years, each make decent money, he makes almost twice my income, and plan to marry and have kids in a year. Less than a year into dating I agreed to move into his house, which he owned for several years at that point. Before officially moving in, all he requested of me was to pay 40% of the monthly mortgage and utilities payment and to take turns buying groceries. I gladly agreed and have consistently done that. I've also been paying for everyday necessities such as toilet paper, soap, papers, towels, etc., and we use my car 95% of the time because he's pointed out that my car is more gas efficient. I always pay for gas too. I estimate these extra monthly costs to be around $400,500 and never complain. Since the beginning of our relationship, he shared his home renovation plans starting with the bathrooms, which he estimates to cost at least $10,000. I like the idea because the improvements would be nice to have: floor-to-ceiling marble, glass shower doors, new windows to add natural light. There are currently no issues with the bathrooms, but he insists we should get it done before we have kids and would like me to contribute. I've always been upfront about my hesitation to contribute large amounts to a home I don't own because we aren't married yet and I'm not on the deed. I also don't want to be like his ex who contributed to similar expenses, and obviously that didn't work out. I told him it would give me comfort in knowing I contribute large amounts to something I also own, and also shared my insecurity about ending up like his ex, which he thinks is ridiculous because nothing's guaranteed anyway. We could marry and divorce. He recently had other improvements made to the house which cost over $10,000. I didn't help pay or request these things, but I have made previous comments about how these upgrades would be nice to have eventually. Lately it seems my boyfriend has been building resentment towards me for not contributing more because he's made comments that my monthly mortgage contribution doesn't help a lot and that he feels like he will always be alone in this. I've told him I have no issues with contributing more once I'm on the deed. Edit. Thank you all for the comments received thus far. I'm a little overwhelmed because I wasn't expecting this many. I wanted to provide a little clarification, extra info in response to some of the comments. The 40% I pay is towards the mortgage and utility bills, and by his calculations the total for that is $800. That plus the extra $400,500 I spend brings my monthly contribution to $1,200, $1,300. According to a quick Google search, the average cost of a 1BR apartment in my city is $1,560. We're both aware that I pay less than the average, and I've expressed my gratitude for not having to pay that much anymore. I rented a 1BR apartment before moving in and have done this for years. Also aware that utilities like electricity and gas can fluctuate, so I'm also grateful to pay a fixed amount towards that every month. Although we mostly use my car and I always pay for gas and the monthly city parking. He is very experienced and handy with cars and has done my oil changes, so I have not had to bring my car in for maintenance at a shop. Not the asshole. He basically made a rental agreement with you but expects you to contribute like you're an owner. If he feels like he'll always be alone in this, then he should formalize your partnership. Your boyfriend is wanting to take advantage of you. The fact that he blows off you paying 40% of his mortgage, despite him earning twice as much, is concerning. Tell him you legally are just a renter, and renters do not pay for home remodeling projects a landlord wants. Not the asshole. Lol. If he doesn't want to feel alone owning a home, he can put you on the deed. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You are being completely reasonable and rational. If or when the two of you do get married, I suggest getting a prenuptial agreement. It seems like your boyfriend has some slightly skewed perspective on what shared finances should look like. Not the asshole. Right now you are already paying more than him. 40% mortgage plus only using your car and gas is not a fair split. Basically you pay half the mortgage while not having a house in return. Hell no to even paying for renovations without being a part owner. I would oath for him to make you part owner and then split all costs equally.